For Beijing, Taiwan is not simply another geopolitical dispute. China claims Taiwan as its territory and insists the Taiwan issue is an internal Chinese matter. Beijing has repeatedly described Taiwan as a core national interest, a red line that must not be crossed. Taiwan strongly rejects Chinese sovereignty claims. Its government says the future of the island can only be decided by its people. With Chinese Coast Guard vessels increasing their presence and American aircraft continuing to operate through the Taiwan Strait, the waters around Taiwan are becoming an increasingly dangerous stage for a U.S.-China confrontation.
As China escalates military pressure on Taiwan, Taipei is responding with a fierce show of strength. Taiwan has launched emergency military drills that simulate the opening hours of a possible Chinese.
大家好，这里是华人看世界 CNView 频道。台湾海峡的风浪正在从口头交锋变成一场看得见的海上较量。据报道，中国海警在台湾以东拦截近200艘商船，要求核查船员名单和挂靠港口信息。随后，测量船与大型海警巡逻舰进入以往少见的海域。部分万吨级船只甚至持续驻守，这样的行动究竟是在维护所谓海洋权益，还是在为更大规模的封锁与检疫式隔离进行预演？另一边，美国海军 P-8A 巡逻机穿越台湾海峡，强调航行自由，并释放出不会退让的信号。北京则全程跟踪监视，台海由此成为中美力量正面碰撞的危险舞台。与此同时，台湾启动年度汉光演习、模拟战机紧急升空、基地抢修、网络中断以及战时动员，训练重点也从展示火力转向基层决策和全天候应战。更值得关注的是，台美军事合作正变得更加公开。面对北京坚持不放弃武力统一，台北强调未来只能由台湾民众决定，而美国方面却迟迟没有做出明确承诺。海上拦截、军机穿航、实弹演习和政治博弈交织在一起，台湾周边究竟是在走向封锁，还是正在逼近一场更危险的危机？本期内容我们将为你梳理事件脉络，分析各方真正的战略意图。
China appears to be turning up the pressure around Taiwan.Chinese Coast Guard reportedly stopped 198 commercial ships east of Taiwan, demanding crew lists and information about their ports of call. A seemingly routine diplomatic move triggered the latest escalation. Japan and the Philippines announced talks in May to resolve overlapping maritime boundaries between the Ryukyu Islands and the Batanes.But Beijing rejected those talks, calling them null and void. And then the ships appeared. Survey vessels and massive Coast Guard patrol ships began operating in areas where they had rarely been seen before. Some of the activity reportedly involved vessels weighing around 10,000 tons, holding positions since June. And that is where the alarm bells began to ring.Because much of this activity was reportedly taking place within 50 miles of Taiwan, far from the maritime boundaries at the center of the Japan-Philippines dispute. The question now is whether China is simply enforcing its maritime claims or rehearsing something much bigger. Stopping and questioning commercial vessels that pose no obvious threat raises serious concerns over freedom of navigation in Beijing's expanding maritime presence.A blockade or quarantine of Taiwan would require China to control and monitor commercial traffic around the island, and that is exactly why these latest moves are drawing attention. Meanwhile, the United States has sent its own message too. A U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon aircraft transited the Taiwan Strait on Friday, flying through international airspace.The U.S. 7th Fleet said the mission demonstrated Washington's commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific. But Beijing was watching. Chinese military forces tracked and monitored the American aircraft throughout the transit, according to China's state-backed Global Times, citing a military source.The U.S. 7th Fleet said that by operating in the Taiwan Strait in accordance with international law, the United States was upholding the navigational rights and freedoms of all nations. Washington made it clear that the U.S. military will continue to fly, sail, and operate wherever international law allows. For Beijing, Taiwan is not simply another geopolitical dispute. China claims Taiwan as its territory and insists the Taiwan issue is an internal Chinese matter. Beijing has repeatedly described Taiwan as a core national interest, a red line that must not be crossed. Taiwan strongly rejects Chinese sovereignty claims. Its government says the future of the island can only be decided by its people. With Chinese Coast Guard vessels increasing their presence and American aircraft continuing to operate through the Taiwan Strait, the waters around Taiwan are becoming an increasingly dangerous stage for a U.S.-China confrontation.
As China escalates military pressure on Taiwan, Taipei is responding with a fierce show of strength. Taiwan has launched emergency military drills that simulate the opening hours of a possible Chinese attack. Taiwan's Air Force carried out an emergency fighter jet scramble drill at Hsinchu Air Force Base on Friday as part of the island's annual Hanquang military exercises. The drill tested how quickly ground crews could prepare Mirage 2000 fighter jets for combat by rapidly loading French-made Magic II and Mica air-to-air missiles before sending the aircraft back into action. The exercise is part of the Hanquang drills, Taiwan's largest annual military training event, which began earlier this week. The multi-day exercise is designed to strengthen the military's combat readiness and prepare for a range of wartime scenarios.
During our routine training, all live ammunition and equipment are inspected in accordance with regulations and procedures. During the military exercises, we step up our training activities, conducting repeated drills through unplanned, irregular, and no-notice scenarios to ensure we are constantly practicing and maintaining our readiness.
In wartime, we would not have the level of thorough preparation that we have now during annual military drills. There may be pre-positioning arrangements and the deployment of various pieces of equipment and machinery. When carrying out repair and recovery operations, we would also follow mobilization orders with support from relevant private sector contractors to assist with repair and restoration work. These operations would be carried out in separate teams. Under normal circumstances, when training at our base, we carry out exercises according to the capabilities and time frame.
Experts say the exercise's structure indicates closer ties with the U.S. military in the face of China's ongoing military threat. According to an Associated Press report, there has long been speculation that the U.S. military has been quietly training Taiwanese troops. The collaboration between the two sides has been more visible in recent weeks.
Taiwan has started its annual military drills aimed at simulating a response to a potential Chinese attack of the island that Beijing claims as its own. The drills, called Hanquang, have been held annually since 1984. This year, they will take place in various locations around the island over 10 days. One characteristic of this year's drills is that they will emphasize practicing the military's decision-making and combat readiness as opposed to the stronger displays of firepower of past years. For example, service members will try out new communication methods inspired by the U.S. military, such as back briefs, where subordinates explain to commanders how they plan to carry out assigned missions. Such exercises are intended to encourage first-line fighters to be more self-reliant in battle, and experts say they are the result of closer collaboration between the U.S. and Taiwanese militaries. The drills will also mobilize thousands of reserve personnel, as well as test the population's resilience if internet service is disrupted in case of an attack.
China claims Taiwan as its own territory and has not renounced the use of force to bring it under its control. Taiwan dismisses China's claims and insists it is a sovereign state. Beijing has carried out military drills near Taiwan as a show of strength. Last month, China held two-day-long live-fire drills in some parts of the Taiwan Strait near the shores of its southeastern province of Fujian. Last December, China held its most extensive war games encircling Taiwan, after the United States unveiled a record $11.1 billion arms package to the island, whose government rejects China's sovereignty claim. Despite closer informal ties between the U.S. and Taiwanese militaries, questions remain around a massive $14 billion arms sales package to Taiwan that U.S. President Donald Trump has yet to approve. After traveling to China in May, Trump described arms sales to Taiwan as a very good negotiating chip with Beijing, raising anxieties on the island about continued U.S. support.
What did President Xi say to you about Taiwan? And what did President Xi say to you about Taiwan? And are you still going to approve the arms sale?
So, President Xi and I talked a lot about Taiwan. He thinks they cannot have anything to do with what they're doing. I mean, he's against very much what they're doing. We talked about Taiwan. We talked about Iran a lot. And I think we have a very good understanding with both. On Taiwan, he does not want to see a fight for independence because that would be a very strong confrontation. And I heard him out.
Are you going to change your wording?
No, I didn't make a comment on it. I heard him out. I have a lot of respect for him. On Iran, it's very interesting. He feels strongly they can't have a nuclear weapon. He said that very strongly. They cannot have a nuclear weapon, and he wants them to open up the strait. But as he said, they closed it, and then you closed them with a smile. And it's true. We control the strait. And they've done no business, literally they've done no business in the last 2.5 weeks, which is approximately $500 million a day. So we have, we're doing very well on all fronts.
Before we leave Taiwan, Mr. President, President Xi said that there was a risk of conflict with the U.S. over Taiwan. What's your response to that?
I don't think there's a conflict, other than we don't need their strait. We don't need the Arab
on Taiwan, Mr. President Xi said there was a risk of conflict with the U.S. over Taiwan.
No, I don't think so. I think I think we'll be fine. He doesn't want to see a war. And you have two things. You have the Iranian situation. With that, I think we agree almost entirely, other than he's a buyer and we're not. We don't need it. And on Taiwan, he doesn't want to see a movement for independence. He says, look, we've had it for thousands of years, and then at a certain period of time it left, and we were going to get it back. They had the Korean War. A lot of things happened. And all this. But no, on Taiwan, he feels very strongly. I made no commitment either way. We'll see what happens.
从中国海警在台湾以东拦截商船到测量船和大型巡逻舰持续出现在距离台湾不到50英里的海域，再到美国军机穿越台湾海峡，以及台湾启动年度汉光演习，这一连串事件共同勾勒出一个越来越清晰的现实：台湾周边的压力正在从单纯的军事展示扩展到海上交通、执法行动、情报监视、社会动员和国际博弈等多个层面。表面上看，拦截商船、核查船员名单和挂靠港口信息似乎可以被解释为海上执法，甚至是所谓维护海洋权益。但真正值得关注的并不只是某一艘船被检查，也不只是某一次巡逻行动，而是这种做法一旦持续发生，就可能逐渐改变相关海域的运行规则。商船在航行时必须考虑自己是否会被拦截，船员信息是否会被要求提交，原本习以为常的航线是否还能够保持稳定。时间一长，商业航运面对的就不再是偶发风险，而是一种持续存在的不确定性。这正是所谓灰色地带施压的特点，它不一定立刻发动公开战争，却可以通过海警、海军、测量船、巡逻机和行政命令，不断把力量推向对方周边。每一次行动看起来都像是有限度的，每一次升级也都可以被解释为例行任务，但当这些动作叠加在一起，实际效果就可能接近一种事实上的控制，问题也因此从有没有开火转变为谁在决定这里的规则，谁在塑造这里的秩序。封锁与检疫式隔离之间的区别同样值得认真分辨。传统意义上的封锁往往意味着公开阻断交通，带有明显的战争性质。 而检疫式隔离则可能以检查、盘问、认证和安全审查为名，逐步限制人员、货物与船只的正常流动。它的危险之处在于，行动方可以声称自己并没有发动战争，受影响的一方却可能已经失去自由通行和正常贸易的保障。一旦这种模式被接受，台海周边的每一次通行都可能变成一次政治和安全风险测试。美国军机穿越台湾海峡传递的信号也十分明确，华盛顿强调的是国际空域航行自由和开放的印太秩序，意在表明国际水域不能因为某一方不断施压就被默认为其专属活动范围。北京方面对美机进行全程跟踪监视，则显示双方正在形成一种高频率、近距离的军事互动。双方都希望证明自己不会退让，但也都必须避免误判。因为在这样的环境中，真正危险的往往不是经过深思熟虑的决策，而是一次通信中断，一次距离过近，一次错误识别，或者一次为了回应舆论而采取的过度动作。台湾举行汉光演习，重点已经不再只是展示多少战机、发射多少枚导弹，而是测试部队能不能在突然遭受攻击时迅速做出决定，能不能在通信中断、基地受损、网络受扰的情况下继续运转，能不能依靠基层官兵完成任务，能不能让民用承包商、后备人员和地方社会共同参与应急恢复。这说明台湾面对的设想已经从单一的军事冲突扩大到基础设施、能源供应、网络系统、交通运输和社会秩序可能同时承压的综合危机。这种变化也提醒我们，现代冲突并不一定从导弹落地的那一刻才开始，它可能先从舆论恐吓开始，从海警船只的常态化出现开始，从对航线的干扰、对网络的攻击、对关键基础设施的侦查开始。一个社会如果只关注战场上的火力对比，却忽视民众能否获得真实信息，城市能否维持基本服务，政府能否持续决策，那么即使拥有先进武器，也未必能够承受长期压力。与此同时，台湾问题之所以特别危险，还在于它同时牵动着两套完全不同的政治叙事。北京把台湾视为主权和国家统一问题，强调这是不能触碰的核心利益。台湾则强调自身的政治现实与民众选择，拒绝接受北京的领土主张。美国又把台湾海峡与地区秩序、盟友信心和国际通行规则联系在一起。三种叙事彼此交错，使得任何一次军事行动都不只是军事行动，任何一句政治表态也都可能被对方解读为战略信号。从美国方面的表态来看，华盛顿既强调支持台湾，也保留了相当程度的战略模糊，军售是否批准、支持达到什么程度、在危机中是否直接介入都没有被完全说死。这种模糊可以留下外交回旋空间，却也可能让台湾担心支持是否可靠，让北京反复测试美国的底线。对台湾而言，真正的安全不能只寄托在别人的承诺上；对美国而言，如何在威慑与避免冲突之间保持平衡，同样是一项极其艰难的任务。而对北京来说，持续施压虽然能够制造威慑，也能够测试台湾和美国的反应，但长期使用这种方式同样存在代价，压力越频繁，周边国家越可能加强军事合作，越多国家会重新评估供应链、航运路线和安全承诺。原本希望通过施压改变现状，结果可能进一步推动地区阵营化，使台海问题从两岸之间的争议逐渐演变为更广泛的国际安全危机。因此，我们今天看到的不应该被简单概括为谁在挑衅，谁在回应，也不能只用一次军演或一次军机通航来判断战争是否即将发生。更重要的是观察趋势，海上执法是否越来越接近军事控制，军事巡逻是否越来越接近常态化对峙，政治语言是否越来越缺少退路。相关各方是否还保留足够的沟通渠道？真正能够降低风险的，不是口号更强硬，而是危机管控机制更可靠，是热线能够接通，是规则能够被遵守，是各方都清楚哪些动作可能触发不可逆的升级。台海和平从来不是某一方单独努力就能维持的结果，它需要克制，也需要实力，需要对话，也需要清晰的边界，需要维护自身安全，更需要避免把对手逼到只能用更激烈方式回应的位置。对普通民众来说，我们或许无法决定大国如何博弈，但可以保持对信息的辨别能力，不被夸张叙事牵着走，也不把战争风险当成遥远的新闻背景。 因为每一次海上拦截，每一次军机接近，每一次军事演习，最终影响的都不只是地图上的一片海域，而是整个地区的安全感、经济往来和普通人的生活。未来台海局势会不会继续升级，取决于各方能否把竞争控制在可管理范围内。真正值得期待的，不是谁在危机中获得更多掌声，而是谁能够避免误判、避免冲突，给地区留下回到谈判桌前的空间。以上就是本期内容的总结与思考，欢迎大家在评论区留下你的判断，关注局势发展，也欢迎点赞订阅，查看更多精彩视频。